Alright, get a few hours to myself today. I'm going to go ahead and install some stuff on this truck. And these are going to be replacements for the KC reverse lights. With some nice LED units. These are Cowl is the brand. Got them off of Amazon. 18 watt, 25 degree spot. A lot of the reviews I read said if you don't get the spotlight one, it just floods way too much light. I have a set of amber ones on order as well that'll go for the front, replace those fog lights. But these will replace the back light. This is stuff I showed in the last video. The cowling that I've been missing for probably as long as I've owned the truck. One of the windshield wiper deals. But yeah, so these lights. There's the old KC one all busted up. That one's all probably just the same if I were to open it up. You can see all the condensation inside there. They're gonna go in there. Funny thing is that bulb still lights up when you hit the reverse. With this system, back when I had a topper on this truck, it made more sense. But there's the relay for it, so it's just sitting there. It's somewhat protected under the rail. While I'm here, well, there's still grease in it. Okay, cool. So that grease is still wet. It's probably still pretty good and waterproof that way. I was thinking about that. I don't know. No, I didn't on the underside. If I got silicone with me, I might gloop that up. Who knows? Well, yeah, let's get to it. Alright, it's a minor thing, but it's in, and it just snaps over. It has little rings to snap over that. You pop that in and it's on. Minor thing, but I pay attention to minor things, I guess. With this, to get that back in, it's going to cover all this space. I'm going to have to loosen up all of the mounting bolts, pull the grill back a little bit, stick this thing in, and it uses these little pop deals. And so those end up snapping in right here to hold that in place. So it slips under here, snaps into there, and it kind of sits on top of those two wings too, for that matter. But yeah, let's get this one in. Alright, now I don't take it all the way off, I just loosen it up enough to get it under. And these little clips, interesting little deals that GM came up with. Push them in like that, push it down like that, and it's locked. To pull it back out, and grab under those and just pull it out. But yeah, now it's in. I don't know if that makes any difference with the airflow or anything. It does looks a little bit more finished and clean now. Not sure how much air was really bypassing up into here and not hitting the radiator, and it wouldn't matter with two electric fans anyway, but it's just, it was an easy part to get. And up on the hood you have this whole rubber gasket and seals on top of this. So don't know if it makes a difference other than to me in fit and finish. But yeah, I'm still just really digging this new grille on it. And that's what they should have done from the get-go with these trucks. But yeah, let me pop this back together. And you look at these door handle cranks, you see that copper colored wire retainer that's in there. And I learned a trick, I don't know, from my dad, from my mechanic buddies, from somebody a long time ago before the days of YouTube. Use a rag. And what you do is you pry between this little plastic ring and there, and you notice it points towards the handle, and you put a rag in there, and that'll pop that thing out. So if I had someone else to film for me, I'd show you, but hang on a second. So you're getting it in there like that, get it in between there, and you should be able to work that retention clip off. But yeah, let's see if I can do it again. Usually how it works for me, it's exactly how I got that off. I didn't have a rag with me, but the truck I was pulling it off, I've had a little cloth glove in the back seat, so I pulled that out and used it for this same trick. Here we go, I'm going to do it. Took a little work. It was oriented in a different direction than I thought, and it was kind of pissing me off, but I got it. So yeah, this old bent up one, I don't know who bent it or why. I mean, how the crap do you do that? What are you doing to my truck to bend up a freaking door crank? I'm kind of in a rock and a hard spot. I don't drive the truck, and I don't want it to just sit and rot away. It needs to be used. It's still ultra low mileage for a truck this old, but it just irritates. Irritates a lot. So yeah, let me get this back in. Gotta let someone drive it. At least my brother-in-law, who's borrowing it now, he's not apt to do much more than drive to and from work, which gets it basic driving mileage, keeps things, any of the seals from drying out, or any other problems from happening. But yeah, every once in a while I'll come over and or take the truck back for a day or two or whatever and just do some minimal maintenance stuff like this. But yeah, let me get this done. So when you're about to get it back on, get that thing set just a little bit in, and you got to be real careful. It'll want to fly off and draw off, and you just get it set, get it stuck back on there, and then you go back in with the cloth to push it. I'm going to do that. And again, you just got to play with it a little bit. But that's how you get that done. That's a little tip for those of you that grew up without power windows, or grew up with power windows and never ever saw an actual crank. That's how you get those on and off, at least on these Chevys. But yeah, there we go. It's working. Nice new handle crank. It's not bent and broken. But yeah, another interesting use for an oil rag, or I don't know what you call these, oil rags, wipe rags, whatever. But it's another interesting use for it. Put that one in your toolkit. Alright, let's get to the fun part. The part that really matters with this. The rest of that stuff's all piddly little small maintenance. It matters, I guess, but yeah. So see these again with these LEDs, little tiny lines. I'll deal with it. Probably have to strip them down, double them up to get them to crimp straight. But yeah, and then get those in there. They should operate a lot better. Make this truck almost full LED. And someday I might. These are all old and 25-year-old. Yeah, starting to see a lot of condensation and cracking in them too. Change those out with LEDs eventually, probably too. Yeah, let's get to it. So I did bullet connectors on these. We just ground it to a point on the frame here. See, you got some old Eagle Eye tow hooks, but obviously on one of the yanks it bent the frame pretty good. I'll have to pound that back into place and box it in someday. Probably do that. See a lot of my wiring. Got all color coded and marks for what it was supposed to be. So yeah, that whole green is the ground line. Yellow is all the additional lights. Still got tucked up in here the old license plate lights. Eventually I'm probably going to rebuild this whole bumper, do a whole new. You can tell how much this thing is. I don't know, it wasn't bad. Now I've learned some things differently, and I'll probably do the same way I did it, where you use C-channel on the outside of the frame and then that bar ties into it, so it's all pretty freaking structural. You can see there, the C-channel's in, got good sized bolts, lots of 2-inch flat stock that I had on hand that I used. Put all that together with it too, some guards for those lights. I had lights like that hanging under my Tahoe bumper and smashed them one day, so when I built this one I thought, yeah, let's guard them. But yeah, let's get that light out and get the new ones in. Should be that simple. Now this kit's coming with a heck of a lot of hardware, and I'm not sure all of it's really usable or used in this. I don't know. As you can see in there, I guess I see how. So you got to capture the nuts inside there. So these little tiny nuts, so it's not threaded in there, which is what I would prefer. Simple cast aluminum housing. Heat dissipation, all that. Sitting under a bumper in the shade, and they shouldn't have much problem with heat at all. But yeah, let's get this thing assembled. Alright, so it will capture that nut, but you got to hold that nut in place. So there's kind of the contraption I did. I stuck another Allen key in there. Let me switch this operation around, but I stuck that in there to hold the nut in place to get the freaking Allen bolt in there. That's generally how I've got it started when I get it finished. And you do want to insert this mounting bolt first, because afterwards you're not going to have the space to do that, so you insert that first. It's got a couple slots. Should hold that bolt in place. It looks like it's going to be a little bit too narrow. If I got trouble with this, oh well. It's a cheap Chinese part, right? And the funny thing is it's got more solidity to it than those high quality American KC parts, and it's not that I don't like KC, it's just, I mean, that's a plastic housing that wasn't watertight, didn't last, you know, versus something like this, modern day 21st century technology, much better. So yeah, let me get to it. This setup works a heck of a lot better. Use the little tiny one up in there and use the real one. So I always worry about these ones they provide. Their metal's not always as hard as you might like it to be, and sometimes you end up stripping them and then you're screwed. So I use mine. What is this one, a Stanley or something? Just probably something I picked up at Walmart again. For simple tools, Walmart's not a bad place. I don't know what size nut that is, but it doesn't fit the 14 perfectly, and it doesn't fit anything SEE perfectly. It doesn't fit 13. So it's between a 13 and a 14. What the crap? Talk about cheese Chinese parts. This better work well, though. We'll see. Talk about a difference. Holy cow, I've got more than an inch of space here now. Had to reuse some of the washers off of the old light mount. It did come with, the new light did come with 2 lock washers, so I got both of those in there. I was just thinking I didn't bring any thread locker with me, so hopefully this will hang tight. I'm going to hardwire these wires in to the existing harness anyway. But yeah, wow. I mean, that's nice and low profile. I don't even need this whole guard down here now. If I moved that up, I'd have room for 2 of these things. But yeah, there's the first one in. I'll get the rest of them in and show you how it's done. So them bullet style connectors left a lot of corrosion in the wires. Hoping it's not too much to impede the flow of electrons. This time I'm going to learn my lesson, and I'm actually going to use the weather tight crimp and glue heat shrink type connectors, and that should keep all that. You should figure you're back here right behind the freaking rear tire. You got a lot of crap flying this way, so I'll keep it as tight as I can. But yeah, let me button all this back up, and then we'll see if this thing actually works. Alright, there we go. It's all in, it's all working. You get a nighttime shot of that some other day. You can tell how freaking bright those are compared to just the regular reverse lights. But yeah, that's a wrap for today. We'll catch you on the next project. Thanks for watching.